defending, I think, is like.
People deluded, I'm back again. Now, obviously, we've defeated MLS All Stars 5-0, 5-0, and there's plenty of talking points. While you can't get, when negative things happen in preseason, you can't get overexcited. You can't get overexcited when you've won 5-0. That being said, it is interesting to see as we go on in preseason, game by game, just how we develop and what Mikel Arteta is planning. Now, obviously, Timber, Kai Havertz, Declan Rice, plenty of talking points. Balogun, Trossard. Let's go over a couple of talking points that I feel are worth talking about. Now, there's plenty that I have excluded. We've spoken on Kirill in the inverted role before. I am excited to see the build-up play with Declan Rice, with Timber when he plays. And actually, Martin Odegaard, how he connects with Havertz and Declan and Timber. Now, I don't know about you Arsenal fans, but I'm excited with what Timber brings to the table. Aggression, adaptability, steps into midfield, can play as a conventional right back, obviously can play as a centre half when required, drifts into centre half regions as well. As you can see in these images, again, it's a 90-minute game, but you can look at him off the ball, people, on this right-hand side. Wants to get forward, technical brilliance. He's everything you look for in an Arsenal player and everything you'd expect of a Dutchman that's been, educated at Feyenoord and Ajax. As I've said before, I think his heading can improve. I think when to play and when not to play. Sometimes I think his positioning can improve. I've covered all of that in another video, but it was a solid debut as much as you can read into a preseason game against, with the greatest of respects, MLS All-Stars. And it's not just him. In these images, you can see, how Timber joins the attack, how Martin Odegaard's involved, Declan Rice, and when he did play, Kai Havertz. So it's all about the building blocks, really and truly. Really, and you can see exactly what Timber can bring. It's like having another attacker, essentially. Needs no license to step into midfield or be in that narrow space. And very cultured on the ball. Obviously, there's a lot to improve. You're not going to be the finished article at 22 years of age. And if you was, with the greatest of respect, you wouldn't be at Ajax. Now, obviously, in the Premier League, that clip, he probably wouldn't have that long. I would say he needs an adaptation period because it's going to be a culture shock. He does want a lot of time on the ball. And in the Prem, you don't get that. Teams are aggressive. They're snapping at the heels. Again, in central regions. And he finds Mr. Martin Odegaard, who put on a clinic. And he's also, the bread and butter is defending. And he can improve in that. Done well there, really. Maybe could be a bit cleaner there. But essentially did his job, really. So Timber's a player that it's a joy to have. And as you can see, him and Declan Rice going to be a key part to the build-up play if and when they play together, and our first teamers. And obviously you've got Benjamin White, who can also do that. Here he is venturing forward once again. You can't help but love what he brings to the table, if I'm completely honest with you lot. Here he is basically taking up a central mid position once again. Decent little knocking on another day, maybe get a bit more of that out of that, but it is what it is. And you can see him again, touch almost let him down, pops it off to Odegaard. And again, the build-up play finds Mr. Martin Odegaard. Personally, I think our build-up play, what we was doing last season, was great, and I think it could even be better this season. Just before I obviously got together the clips for this video, I did a screen recording of just to kind of paint a picture as to how the various ways, once again, we can build out from the back and things like that, and how all our components of our football club tie in together. As you can see in this clip now, we've got to remember footballers are not fixated, but a big part as to how Mikel Arteta plays football, as you guys know, is the passing lanes. Like I said, football isn't fixated. Players don't just stand there like chairs really and stay stationary, and the opposition will look to press us. As you know, in a Mikel Arteta system, we like to play out from the back. Sometimes you're going to have to knock it into the channels. Ironically, for those of you who have watched the highlights or watched the game of, obviously, the game we played against the MLS All-Stars, pretending this says Kyle Hine and not Ramsdale for a sec. If you remember, the ball into the channel, which it was to Havertz at the time, which was probably more out into here, Havertz won the flick on. So Kyle Hine found Kai Havertz. If you remember, Havertz actually won the header, and that's something Mikel Arteta interestingly mentioned, Havertz's height as a strength. Then obviously Jesus got onto it, he won a penalty. But that's not the main point of this video. Moving everyone back, as you know, sometimes you're going to have to go long. It's about passing lanes. And as you see in our build-up play, and again, I don't like to personally get fixated on systems, because systems or formations in the modern day, they're fluid. It's a back four, it's a back three. The numbers you press press with are very different from the numbers you might defend with. But as you know, invertedness is something of Mikel Arteta, and it's all about passing lanes. As is Zinchenko or Kyrgios, as we've seen in pre-season, drifts into midfield. Obviously, Ramsdale could find Gabriel, who could pull out wide and could knock it into the channels, or we could recycle possession with several players. You know, Saliba needs no license to get onto the ball and run forward. Neither does Benjamin White or Timber, who at times will drift into midfield. And then you've got two rotating eights. Now, we could obviously have Partey and Declan Rice. We could have the Smith Rowe's, Fabio Vieira's. There's many different combinations and varieties Arteta could play with. But you'd probably, at least for the intermediate future, see Declan Rice as a lone sort of six. So there's several options. There's time for Ramsdale to play it into Declan Rice. Declan Rice can just pop it to Zinchenko. Zinchenko can get things moving and things like that. Equally, Declan Rice could find his England colleague Saka. As we know, Jesus will drift and work the channels. Obviously, you've got Martinelli out there. And it's quite interesting that this could be a fixated system. And there's many different passing lanes. As you know, if you can't go forward, you have to recycle and go backwards, people. There's many different things. Ramsdale could pop it into a Havertz or pop it into an Odegaard. Odegaard's got eyes in the back of his head. He could pop it to Declan Rice and we can keep it moving. So I do like that. And where, you know, obviously big up Benjamin White and now the addition of Timber, Kyrgios, you know, having spent a season playing defensive midfield for Spezia and potentially, you know, being a long-term centre-half in his career, he's obviously got the dynamics and the variety in his game to be able to play and thrive as an inverted fullback, which could mean more game time for Mikel Arteta. And for him under Mikel Arteta, it could actually mean Kieran Tierney gets to play at left back a bit more, because as we saw against MLS All-Stars, Timber drifts into midfield. You know, Timber will take his man on. There was times Timber was actually as part of the press. Timber will obviously drift into midfield. So it's lovely to see several passing lanes, people. As you know, you don't have to, not everyone has to touch the ball. One if you can, two if you need, three if you have to is the same logic. Sometimes you can just pop it and skip people out. Kyrgios will drift. Equally, you could obviously see conventionally just holding our width and allowing, you know, Timber to drift inside or Timber to take his man on, and that obviously has benefits for Saka, because Saka will have to drop deep, but typically you don't want to see our players, our wingers, have to receive it on the halfway line, because as you know, typically if you're a Bukayo Saka, if you're a Martinelli, you know, pretending that these midfielders are drifting out wide to help their fullbacks, you're going to get doubled up against and maybe in some cases tripled up against. So sometimes you don't want to see that, but also that vacates space for a Declan Rice, for an Odegaard, for a Havertz, for a Jesus. And someone, if Jesus drops deep, there's obviously Havertz will run in behind, or someone else can run in behind. So it is quite interesting what we could flirt with, people. And in terms of build-up play, again, as you could see, Kyrgios or Zinchenko, more time than not, Declan Rice could be there. There's obviously build-up play. There's the scope to go back, you know, let's not lose possession unnecessarily. Sometimes we can knock it into the channel. Sometimes Jesus could be knocked into Jesus, and Martinelli could make that forward run, and depending on the level of ability in the individual playing for Arsenal, there's obviously a lot of things we could do. So it is lovely to see the interchanging system and the players that are able to do that. And quite frankly, the variety Mikel Arteta potentially can install in our game. Declan Rice, the poster boy of Arsenal's summer transfer window so far. Adapt at playing as a six, centre-half if required, can bring goals and assists to his game as well, people. I mean, I'm happy to have Declan Rice. I do think it's a bit of a culture shock, because sometimes he does play sideways and backwards where he's got the ability to play forward, and I think Mikel Arteta will demand that of him, and that will benefit England and obviously Arsenal. And it's also the areas he takes up off the ball. He's almost like a seatbelt. You can see like he's always in the right areas and he gets into the right positions in all corners of the pitch. I'm really happy with Declan Rice. Now, he's an educated individual in terms of Premier League experience. We've known what he brings to the table. I do think in areas like this, as you've seen, he can show for the ball quicker and distribute a lot quicker as well. Again, him and Timber, two technical players that ultimately help the football club, really. You know, I'd say for him to go to the next level, it's probably just about adding goals and assists into his game, people. Everything else, what that's been demanded of him so far in his career in the role he plays, he's got that. As you can see, he's always an option. He might not be the most expansive of players, but he always makes himself available and keeps things ticking over, and we need something like this. As you can see, again, in a Premier League game, you're not going to have this much time on the ball, but this is something, you know, the driving forward and stuff, he could bring that to the table and enhance that. He's always offering for his centre mids and colleagues. He's always offering for his centre half and goalie. He does help out a lot in wide areas to provide cover when fullbacks are going forward. And he does, his position is spot on in his role, as you'd expect of someone that's played 200 odd times for their club. Again, the build-up play. And again, Declan Rice, ball carrying is something I'm looking forward to. And obviously, he's very good at playing football in tight spaces. Essentially, I'm excited about Declan Rice. I'm intrigued to see what Kai Havertz brings. I'm gassed about Timber. I'm very excited about Declan Rice. He's a curtain raiser essentially for this football club, really. And I do think in an attacking sense, in the final third, you'll see a lot more of him, really, because respectfully to West Ham, we're going to be on the front foot a lot more of the time than West Ham. So he's going to have to defend and manage the transitions, but he's going to have to, develop in that regards. And he's got the facilities to do it, really and truly. He's got the facilities to probably score 5 or so goals a season from midfield. I like the fact that he took this shot on good little dummy by Havertz. His primary job in Arsenal's team, at least in the intermediate future, or the better yet, the short-term future, as I meant to say, is potentially just being a 6, winning the ball back and distributing it to the more, no disrespect to Declan Rice, because he's got a high technical ability, but, he's primarily a 6, a ball-winning midfielder. So his primary job, for example, is to just simply nick the ball off his opponents and, look to find, pretending this is Odegaard or Havertz or what have you, and bring them in. Or if Zinchenko has been inverted or whoever it is, to bring them in so that we can progress play. Or simply put, just recycle it and make sure we keep possession and we're able to go forward. There's also times, again, there is, to ball carry is dribbling, but I do think there's a difference. Saka's a dribbler, Declan Rice is a ball carrier, and I've always said Declan Rice has a lot. He's primarily known for his job in his own half of the pitch, but it's in this side that he's going to have to become a lot better because obviously it's a bit of a culture shock. With the greatest of respects to West Ham United, we're going to be on the front foot a lot more in the game. He's going to have to contribute, and he will do that. One thing I like about him is, again, I can't carry the ball and Declan Rice at the same time, but pretending he's dribbling, he's dropped his shoulder and he's danced past his man and he's advanced. For Declan Rice, for him to get to the next level, if we remove Jesus, he could play it into Jesus or whoever have you out wide, but pretending Jesus ain't there and focusing on 2 banks of 4 and putting in a goalie, as you probably saw when he came off the bench in the MLS All-Stars games, obviously if the shot is on, shoot. Or, recycle possession, because the hardest thing to do is make the right choice. But there's going to be a couple of occasions where, to get more goals and assists, he's going to kind of be in this area, or maybe just outside the area, the opposition's penalty box. And there's times where obviously Saka or Cole or Jesus or whoever you might make a late run, Jesus or Saka could be slipped in by Rice. But there's also times where, and I saw it in the MLS game, where the shot was open, but he elected to pass it. Now, to get to the next level and add goals and assists into his game, which he has said, simply put, you've got to have a shot. Or, let's just say Declan Rice, to go back to the first example, he's nicked in front, he's won it off my man, he's distributed it to Havertz, for example. Make that forward run, really, because, Saka might take a man with him. Jesus might hang on the last shoulder. And there might be a gap, for example, Odegaard might be hanging around here. And you've seen Odegaard made a career last season of scoring and taking shots from this kind of area or, connecting play. The space might open. So if you're not going to shoot, or assist, make the run. Simply put, make the run. Obviously, stay on side. If the ball's clipped into you, there you have it. And it's that sort of thing I think Declan Rice is going to add to his game. He's established himself as a number 6, one of the best in the world at that, as a ball-winning midfielder. But he also has a lot more technical quality than getting given credit for. And if you go back to, ironically, the first goal that Declan Rice scored in the Premier League against Arsenal, a big part as to how Declan Rice scores goals or can score more goals or add goals and assists and, be known for, being a danger in and around the opponent's area, as much as, he's a compositive figure in the middle of the park, is simply arriving into the box, essentially, people. As you lot can see, he scored his first Premier League goal against Arsenal simply by getting in the box. A big part as to scoring goals is getting in the right areas. And, Declan Rice and Granit Xhaka are 2 completely different players, but Xhaka added that to his game. Even even though Xhaka probably is better in the final third at this moment in time than Declan Rice. But again, Mikel Arteta has shown he can get that. And I think we've got the best of both worlds with Rice. A number 6 with the capacity to contribute in the final third and a technical level that is underrated. And again, you could see him with his best Rooney, Gerrard, Lampard, Paul Scholes impression, Xhaka, boom. Again, in and around the opponent's 6-yard box area, semicircle, he could cause some serious problems, really and truly, essentially. And he's a strong ball carrier. As you've seen, a couple of his finishes have actually been little neat dribbles when the opponent has invited him to attack the space. And I think that's something he can do. I think that's something that, even although it was a debut game against MLS All-Stars, I think that's something, not that he was reluctant to do it, but he was kind of keeping it safe. And, you know, he's still got to learn. You know, he has to adapt to a new team and stuff like that. Again, arriving into the box, that's a tap-in. Big up Mikel Antonio. But arriving into the box, these are things that Declan Rice can do. I've always said he's underrated technically, but he's not known for doing such, people. And as you can see here, another screamer, whether you think there's an element of fortune or not. But these are the areas that opponents are going to invite him to shoot from, and hopefully we see many or more celebration. As you can see, lovely run off the ball here against Kidminster and a neat little finish. You know, these are the things that he can add to his game and be known for being that number 6, that safety belt in the middle of the park, but also make himself even more of a complete player, as the man himself has said. Here you can see against Lyon, another one, arriving into threatening areas. A big reason as to how you score goals is being in the right place at the right time, essentially. Don't know if West Ham fans would be happy about him kissing the badge there, but nonetheless. And again, people, he loves it against Southampton. Again, Declan, bro, listen, because Granit Xhaka leaving has left us chasing 7, 8, 9 goals from midfield. If we can get Declan Rice getting a couple, if Odegaard keeps scoring, we're living. And again, in the right area, fantastic finish. This is something that Declan Rice can add to his game, folks, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I genuinely believe he can bring this to the table. Another one, again, is something that I'm sure Mikel Arteta would have known about and probably pitched to him in terms of a presentation for Scopus, how you can potentially go to the next level. And another one, arriving into the box, smashing it, put your foot through it, smash it. This is something I expect, actually, Declan Rice to do on occasion for Arsenal Football Club. Once again, arriving into the box. Simple business. Again, Declan Rice will show his technical level in Arsenal colours and be known for being a number 6 and a destroyer of sorts, but also be known for his technical level. And again, it wouldn't be a Declan Rice video or a Declan Rice segment if we didn't show his performance against Arsenal, really. Not the biggest of things to write home about, but it's just us learning about our opponents. Or better yet, he was an opponent, actually, better yet, our new player, as you can see, composing figure. And Arteta's thinking that's a card. I'm not going to lie, I don't think that's a card. And I'm looking forward to seeing Declan Rice do this at the Emirates, but in our shirts. That's not the best of passes. But again, the man's everywhere. As I said, he pulls into wide areas to help fullbacks out and help centre-backs defend that wide area. Obviously, he's composing in the middle of the park. I do think on occasion he could gamble a bit more in possession. Probably not the best of example there, but at times I think he could do a little smart Cruyff turn and hit a diag. He doesn't always have to play the sideways pass. Stuff like, as you can see here, now he was forced to go backwards there, but yeah. And as you can see, just nicked the ball off an Arsenal teammate there. Well, yeah, now teammate and England colleague Bukayo Saka. And this is how you go to the next level. Again, this is what he's known for, winning the ball. Not the best of headers, but he got something on it just like that. Just get something on it sometimes. And he doesn't panic. Look, many people would have panicked there. See, areas like this, Declan Rice, he played the right pass, but did he need to play that? Could he have played it, a more forward pass there? Again, he's probably just trying to clear it, but there's an attempt there. And again, he's always in the right areas, essentially, folks. So you can't really complain in that regard. So I'm happy to have Declan Rice at the club. And again, just mopping up. Stuff like that, you want to see him not always just palm it off to a defender, but sometimes maybe take a couple of extra touches and skip out a man, essentially. Stuff like what you're seeing here. Now, he's forced to go backwards. Obviously, when you've got Odegaard and the players that we have in the middle of the park, he could probably do something in that regard. Want to see him do a bit better there. Great little nick there. These are the things that you're going to be excited to see Declan Rice do. Now you can see him basically as a left back there. He puts in a shift onto Odegaard there, nicked it off Odegaard. This is what you want to see him doing. And again, will offer an avenue for fullbacks. And I think an underrated part of being a centre midfielder is sometimes you're indirectly finding yourself in wide areas. This is what I mean. Now, that diag didn't come off, but that's what you want to see from Declan. Now, that touch weren't the best there, but yeah. Now, there's not really too many West Ham options on for him. And sometimes you need to just keep possession. Again, probably need to play a better pass to Antonio there. See, stuff like that. Now, that was a horrible touch by his teammate, but stuff like that, playing that eye of the needle, difficult pass. But if you can't, keep it simple. As you can see with Declan Rice here, a joy to have at the football club, if I'm honest. Money well spent. I think he's going to be a hit. I think he's going to be a success. See, stuff like this, when the area invites, keep dribbling. Not too many options on, but carry it. This is what you want to see Declan do. Now, that was terrible from him, if I'm completely honest. But again, we get a glimpse into what he could do in an Arsenal system. To be fair, you know, Mikel Arteta's pressing is relentless. I think that's a soft free kick against Declan, if I'm honest with you. Very composed figure. So I'm excited with what he brings to the table in Arsenal colours. And as you can see here, Mikel Arteta said Declan Rice said on working with Mikel Arteta, I'm so excited. He speaks for himself. You see how he works. You've got a real insight into how he works on the Amazon documentary, how he works with his players, and not only as a coach, but psychologically, how good he is with players, how he improves players. He's a massive factor in the reason why I've come here. I know he's going to get the best out of me. I know I've got more levels to go up in my game, and I feel he's the manager to take me to those next levels. I'm really excited to be working with him. So he knows there's gears to his game to come up. Mikel Arteta knows. So he knows there's stuff that could make him even more of a complete player, which evidently is going to benefit Arsenal and potentially could benefit Southgate or whoever is the England manager, people. So yeah, I'm happy to have him, really. And again, Mikel Arteta is shown with, you know, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, Xhaka, several players, even Eddie Nketiah, nothing to write home about, but has improved. You know, he doesn't just stand up front. He works the channels. He's improved physically. Arteta has shown he can improve players, and we'll be here all day trying to find all of the guys that he has genuinely improved, people. So you get where I'm going with that, essentially, folks. So I'm happy with the signing of Declan Rice, and I think you lot should be and will be as well. Now, if we move on from him and look at Mr. Kai Havertz, his debut, I know a lot of people were critical of the skills challenge. Not going to get at it. Didn't look good, but I'm not going to get at you for that stuff. And it's interesting that he's a physical prospect. As you can see, the penalty, the clip cut out, but the penalty there came because Havertz won the header, and Mikel Arteta has actually spoken about his height being a factor. He keeps speaking about he's a midfielder, but he keeps speaking about his versatility. Now, my only concerns is, you know, I know you can play the Xhaka role in the attacking half of the pitch, but it's the final third. It's that defensive stuff. Is Xhaka mucking in? And Xhaka never really got praised for his defensive. He weren't the best defender, but he never really got praised for that. So if Kai Havertz can add that to his game on top of being an Arsenal player in terms of his technical level, then I've got no qualms about us in the 8 role. Personally, I think at this moment in time, it's got to be Partey, Rice and Odegaard. But I do hope to see Kai Havertz, depending on if he adapts, with Odegaard and one of Rice and obviously Partey. And in the MLS game, you did see glimpses as to how Odegaard could benefit with Rice, what Timber brings to the table, Havertz in that left-hand channel. You know, one thing he does like Xhaka is peel out wide as well. Now, again, you can't read too much into pre-season, but you get the point. My only worry is, you know, is Rice at the base or Partey at the base in the 6th row and rotating 8s of Odegaard and Havertz. Is that enough in the Premier League? Now, there'll be games if teams sit off us, we could do our thing, but I just wary if that is stuff. And with Kai Havertz, you know, that's going to make or break the transfer window. There's going to be plenty of speculation and comments and everyone offering their 5 cents about Declan Rice because of his transfer stuff, but not a single Arsenal. Fortunately, the manager's the one who gets paid. If he believes Havertz is the guy, then fair enough, as you can see with Timber, Rice and Havertz there. I just worry that not a single Arsenal fan was sitting there and saying, yeah, Havertz is going to move us towards winning a trophy or being stronger in the Champions League when we was assessing the market and who we could buy and all of that jazz. Now, I hope Mikel Arteta has a plan for him, which you have to. Too much money spent, you know, with back in the Champions League, etc., etc. So it's going to be interesting. As much as I waffle about him playing on the left-hand side, he will peel out to the right. And, you know, you can see him taking central regions as if Jesus drops deep, pulling out to the channels according to what Martinelli and Saka are doing. As you can see, he's on the right-hand side there. And he is a decent player, man. Technically, he is decent. I just really, people, hope it works, if I'm honest with you. And here's his goal. Look at the late run. Saved his best for the last. So have that. All the people criticizing him for the skills challenge, have that, mate. Really and truly. You know, if you do the business in the Premier League, just like you scored now, nobody really cares about what you did in the skills challenge and things. Admittedly, the skills challenge didn't look good, but I'm not gonna kill Kai Havertz for that. People, good assist from Marquinhos as well, if I'm honest, and that's what you want to see from Havertz. Didn't see that from you in a blue shirt too often. Good assist from Marquinhos, who I also feel plays a bit within himself. Probably needs another loan. Started well at Norwich and then it kind of went quiet. Again, you look at what's been said on Kai Havertz. I think, again, it's one of those main qualities he has. He gives us something very different with his quality and size as well. When you have to beat the press, for example, and use him as a target man. So we'll see. For now, he's playing an attacking midfield position, but I'm sure throughout the season and throughout games as well, we're going to have the options to play him in different positions. So again, another multifunctional player, and it's interestingly he spoke about him being a target man. And again, you know, the whole penalty that led to Jorginho scoring against MLS All-Stars was because of a ball into the channels from Kyle Hein. Obviously Kai Havertz won the header, and Jesus picked up the pieces, and it adds in terms of physicality. You know, Declan Rice isn't small. Kai Havertz is quite tall. We need these composing sort of figures, really and truly, when the game demands. And maybe Arteta has plans to play him in other regions according to team dynamics, systems, injuries, suspensions, loss of form, you know, fixture calendar list, and all of that jazz. People, Kai Havertz on different positions himself. He said, I think again it's one of those main. Sorry, people. Well, yeah, Arteta said on Kai Havertz, I think, again, it's one of those main qualities he has. He gives us something very different with his quality and size as well. When you have to beat the press, for example, and use him as a target man. So we'll see. For now, he's playing in an attacking midfield position. So I've included that twice. What I meant to say, sorry, people. Again, I'm learning how to do this editing. Kai Havertz, his manager, Arteta, said he's a player of top quality. He has great versatility, and as an intelligent player, he'll bring a huge amount of extra strength to our midfield and variety to our play. So again, Arteta keeps speaking about him playing in midfield, but doesn't talk down his versatility at all by any stretch of the imagination, people, which undoubtedly is going to be of vital importance to him. Edu has well said, we're excited to bring Kai to the club, and great work by everyone to get this deal done. Kai is an exciting addition to our squad who will bring attacking quality and that keyword versatility once again, folks. Again, on where Arteta sees Kai Havertz playing, we will see. We have to see how he adapts and to get to know each other and build relationships. Football is about that, and time will tell where he sees best, people. Kai Havertz himself said it will take some days and weeks to get used to the style of play. That is clear, but I'm going to give everything for the club to get the fitness back into my body and hopefully perform in the highest level in the league, people. Arteta on Variety has said this season from Arsenal, we have to see, but the idea is to be more unpredictable every year and be more difficult for opponents to stop and nullify what we want to do. That's what we have now, especially at the back and in midfield. The options we have to open up spaces, we have many more options than we had last year. Great stuff. That's the whole point of the transfer window, really and truly. On our signings bedding in quickly, they are, and we have to find that fluidity within the game and those relationships. That's something that is difficult to predict as a coach, what is going to work. But sometimes, whether it's on the pitch or sitting at the table, they find that chemistry between them, especially in the first half. The way we started, we were a bit suffocated with the weather, and we started to give away many simple balls, and we could not really control the game. But it's true that we were exceptional in both boxes today. Every time we were in the final mid in good positions, we put the ball in the back of the net, true, and we have to defend moments in those transitions when we give the ball away. I think we defended really well. Can't disagree with any of that, if I'm completely honest with you. But yeah, big up everyone. On Timber, he said, I think you've seen tonight that he's a really versatile player. You can see him defend those positions. He gives you the capacity to invert, to occupy different spaces. He's so comfortable on the ball. And in that phase, he's got this aggression in duels and that dynamism that I really like about him. You saw from the first action, he went and won the ball straight away on that duel, and he was ready to go. I do like that. Very aggressive. He's been like that in the last few days. He's playing really well with the team, and I think he's going to be a really important player for us. Hopefully, you know, you got him, Saliba, Benjamin White, all competing for, you know, the centre half / right back positions. Obviously Saliba more centre back, but you get the point. And Kai Havertz seems to love a verbal, as you lot can see here, people. That was probably a little hit back at the critics who criticised this skill challenge, really. So in conclusion, people, I think all the debuts, all the three individuals that made the debuts bring something to the table. I'm still intrigued to see just how Kai Havertz fits in the team as he finds his feet. Declan Rice, I think you're gonna get on at Arsenal like a house on fire. It's just about probably contributing a bit more in the final third. Timber, as I said, he can work on his positioning. He probably is going to pick up a few yellow cards because of his aggressive front-footed nature. I think he needs to learn when to play, when not to play. I think he can go to sleep and play players on side, but there's a lot to like about Timber. The same thing I just said about aggressive. I like defenders who like to defend. I like the fact that he backs himself in position. I like the fact of, he can play as a conventional right back, offering the overlap, or he'll invert. And you saw what that actually gave Tierney as well, and that opens up the capacity, as Arteta says, to play Tierney a bit more. So I think these signings all offer something. We can't read too much into pre-season, but every pre-season game that goes off, there's something new to learn, people. I think we've got Manchester United, Barcelona, Monaco, and then the season really kicks off. We've got the Community Shield at Wembley against City, and then the Premier League is back, people. It's the 21st of July at the time of making this video. Has taken me a couple of days to put together. Again, any technical difficulties, errors, I'm learning just like the players. I'm trying to get better at this. I was quite shocked by the positive feedback I've seen from some of you lot. But yeah, that's all I've got to say, people. Check out the rest of the vid. Smash the like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm out.